Ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, here at Ivy Talks Podcast Network, we're doing a subscriber giveaway. We'll be doing a giveaway on the 1st and the 15th of every month for $50 for a random subscriber. All you have to do to enter is subscribe, comment on any video, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. And once you do it once, you're entered for life. And it's going to be on the 1st, 15th of every month. A random subscriber will be chosen to win $50. As you grow, that money will go up. So go ahead, subscribe, comment to enter. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the NBA coverage. We are getting so close to seeing who's going to capture the trophy at the end of these playoffs. We are headed into the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We have the Minnesota Timberwolves versus Oklahoma City Thunder, and we have the Indiana Pacers versus the New York Knicks. We're going to go over those matches. Before we get into that, I have an announcement to make. For a very long time, I have been a fan of individual players. I haven't had a team that I follow explicitly in the NBA. And I think it's time for me to make that change. Reason why I wanted to make this change is one of my favorite players of all time has been retired for a few years, Carmelo Anthony. My second favorite player of all time is LeBron James, and he obviously doesn't have too many more years left. He will be retiring at some point in the near future. And then the guys that we watched growing up that I've been huge fans of, like the Dwight Howards, obviously retired. Russell Westbrook probably doesn't have too many years left. Kevin Durant is up there in age. The guys that we grow up that I molded my game around or, tried to be like in terms of just training and this, that, and the third, they're on their way out. And this new generation I'm fans of, but it's not the same level as growing up, literally sculpting my release and shot after Carmelo Anthony or working on my transition game and sculpting it after Russell Westbrook, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not doing that anymore because I'm a grown man. I'm not a kid anymore. So I'm a fan of these guys, but it's not the same nostalgia as it is when you're a kid growing up watching these people play as you're playing the sport. So I am officially claiming, coming out the closet, pause, I'm officially a Memphis Grizzlies fan. I chose Memphis Grizzlies because they are the only NBA team in the state of Tennessee. I am a homegrown Tennessean, and I will support anything Tennessee, regardless of city. So I'm officially a Memphis Grizzlies fan. So there it is. My team is the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm still going to obviously follow all the players that I am fans of, but my team that I'm going to ride or die for the rest of my existence will be the Memphis Grizzlies. I just had to make that announcement. But let's get into it. Calvin, the first game that's going to be that we're going to have, which is tomorrow or today, because this will be aired Tuesday morning. So today it's going to be Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder. Tell me, what are you interested to see matchup wise for those teams?
Man, so let me pull up the roster and everything first so I can get a little bit in depth around it. But what I like to see, man, seeing two young stars in the NBA that are going to go head to head, Anthony Edwards and Shea and everything, man. So I'm really excited to see that, who can get the best of who and everything from that. So that's going to be really really interesting and everything. Let me go to the OKC roster real quick. Man, I think this is the thing that I'm really big about. They're all. Would you consider the Timberwolves like the younger team of the NBA, or would you call them like more of like a mid-level team and everything?
In terms of age?
Yeah.
I still think I would still consider them a young team. Younger.
Okay.
They may be like a little older on the young side, but I would still consider them a young team.
This is the thing, man. I think we're gonna see how the series goes because my what I'm gonna say may change. I think that Oklahoma City, they kind of got exposed a little bit, just how young of a team they are and everything. Because they don't have the veterans on the team and everything that have been like in the NBA finals or like in the playoffs and everything like that. They had to basically figure it out game by game, in my opinion. And I think one big thing, man, if Aaron Gordon wasn't hurt, I think that might have been a different game, to be honest.
in Game 7. Yeah.
Because Aaron Gordon, that's the glue. That's the glue guy. He hit 2 game winners in the playoffs so far. He can switch off on any defender and everything like that. He really has an inside out game. He can shoot the corner three. He can, pull up in transition. Obviously, he can throw lobs and everything and get it to him. I think that was the killing part for them. And they got blown out and everything from that standpoint too as well. But like I said, man, I think the Thunder got exposed in that. Now, going into the series, it's going to be weird just from the big perspective because you got Chet. Chet is he's a big center. Like, he can put the ball on the floor, he can bring it up. He's a more on the skilled side and everything. Then
Hmm.
you got in contrast, you got Rudy Gobert and everything. You pull him out and everything, it's one-on-one game, like attack him and everything like that. I think that's really going to be the big mismatch and everything on both sides. You got Chet that can shoot the three and everything, get to the bucket. Then you got Rudy Gobert, which was a big center. He can just overpower Chet and everything like that. And this is where I don't know if this is gonna. I'm gonna be surprised to see the matchups and everything because you got. I read on something Jalen Williams and everything. The center Jalen Williams and everything because there's two
With
Jalen Williams on the team.
Jalen Williams with a Y.
Yeah, with a Y. The way he played Jokic and everything was pretty damn near the best defense you can do and everything. He tried to
Beautiful.
back him. He tried to back him
Beautiful.
down. He stand tall. He took the hit and everything, forced him into a tough shot. Obviously, Jokic, he's a skilled dude. If he makes those tough shots, it's like, all right, that's cool. He
But
can't. There's no way.
just
Yeah,
make him work for it.
make him work for it and
Yeah.
everything. And in my opinion, yeah, he might have one game where he hits everything, but if you keep on applying that pressure and everything, like I don't see him making those shots every time. And I think that's going to be the really big thing for the matchup if they can get that matchup. Now, in contrast, Julius Randle been playing his ass off.
Monster.
So that's
Monster.
another thing. Is just like Julius Randle, he's a stretch four. Do you keep Jalen on him and then you keep Chet, or do you switch it around and everything like that? Um, I just don't know. I just don't know from that perspective, man. I think the big, like the 3 to the 4, the 3 to the 5 spot is going to be really, really interesting and everything. Um, Also,
And
too,
you still, I was gonna say
said
you still have Hardenstein,
you got
who's a
Hardenstein,
big body center.
and then you got Jaden McDaniels too from the Timberwolves. I mean, he's a
Yep.
3 and D guy too. He can play defense too. Um, that's really, really going to be interesting series and everything. Um, I find this, I don't know who's going to come out that series, to be honest, man. I really don't. I honestly don't. And then we pivot over to the Pacers and the Knicks. I don't know that one either. I really don't. This is the first time I think with the conference finals where I'm literally trying to decipher who's going to be who, and I really don't know. I think it really comes down to whoever has home court advantage. You got to win every game at home and maybe still one away. I think that's really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Um, the Pacers, I don't know how they're going to react with playing in the Garden and everything, especially if Jalen Brunson gets going and all that. It's hard to stop them.
Yeah. For 100% for this. So for to real quick to break down the rankings and how they perform. So offensively, points per game, OKC is fourth, Minnesota is tied 13th. Pace, OKC is sixth, Minnesota's 24th. Field goal percentage, OKC's tied sixth, Minnesota's 16th. Now, where the Timberwolves have an advantage is 3-point field goals, they're fifth, and 3-point percentage, they're fourth. Obviously, Anthony Edwards leading the lead in made threes this year. So one of your basically the best 3-point shooter of the league in the league this past year. But even for OKC, they're sixth 3-point field goal and field goal percentage, they're sixth. Free throws first, rebounds tied for 11th for OKC. For the Timberwolves is 15th. But then if you go down to steals, OKC is first. If you go down to turnovers or causing turnovers, they're first. If you go to offensive rating, OKC is third. Defensive rating, OKC is first. So I think, and then to your point, I want to segue kind of off of what you're talking about, just matchup wise. I think the biggest success for the Timberwolves, especially with Lakers and Warriors, is the fact that Lakers didn't have a center, which they did, but JJ Redick made it. I believe he just made a miscalculation and didn't play a center. And Rudy Gobert, it was a key point in beating the Lakers. You go to the Warriors, same thing. You have the Warriors playing small ball. They don't have a center. It wasn't sustainable for Draymond Green to guard Rudy Gobert at the center. It takes a toll on you, especially at that age. So you had Rudy Gobert getting these rebounds, second chance opportunities, taking away second chance opportunities by being such a dominant presence in the paint. With OKC, Rudy's not going to have that free reign. You have, like you said, Chet, who's a 7-footer. And even if Chet doesn't have the physical dominance or the physical will to impose on Rudy Gobert, you still have Hartenstein, who we saw was with Hartenstein, Chet, and a little bit of the switch offs. You had Hartenstein, who was really key in doing his best to make Jokic work for every buck he had. Now you put Hartenstein on a lesser offensive threat and Rudy Gobert. Rudy's going to be contested in every rebound that he goes for. And offensively, what is Rudy Gobert going to be able to do against your guys like Chet and Hartenstein? Which I think Hartenstein, just being a bigger body, he's heavier. I think Rudy is going to have to really work because I think it's Timberwolves are going to have to find a way to not only out rebound but also take advantage of the pick and roll. So but looking at the perimeter, so you have Hartenstein, Chet there in the middle in the paint perimeter defense. The reason why they're number one in steals, you got guys like Alex Caruso, Dort, Jalen Williams, the guard Jalen Williams, obviously SGA, who's averaged almost 2 steals per game this season. You got just crazy perimeter deep, and you have a rim protector, not only Hardenstein and Chet. Minnesota, they're going to have to, one, stay consistent at the three, because in the playoffs, even with the Lakers and Warriors, their three-point shooting has been very up and down. They're going to have to find a way to be consistent on the perimeter and shooting, and they're going to have to figure out a way to get Rudy Gobert involved in some aspect on the offense in terms of pick and rolls, setting good screens, getting open looks for other guys. I think that's what that's really going to come down to for that matchup. Now, secondly, Indiana Pacers and the Knicks, breaking it down. I think this is going to be a pretty evenly matched game. When you look at their offensive rating, Knicks are 5th, but Pacers are 8th, not far off. Defensive rating, they're both tied at 13th defensively. So when you look at things like that, they're pretty even. Now, we've known that Pacers, again, like we talked about distributing the ball, they're 3rd in the NBA in assists, which the Knicks are 11th, but obviously because Jalen Brunson just kind of does a lot of the ISO work. But when you look at points per game, Pacers 7th, Knicks 9th. Field goal percentage, Knicks tied 4th, Pacers 3rd. But it's pretty damn close. Look at 3-point percentage, Pacers tied 9th, Knicks are 8th. I think this is probably one of those going to be, I think you might have a couple big double-digit wins, but rating wise, looking at it on paper, and then we talked about this before in previous episodes where you have Obi Toppin, you have Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner, you got obviously Toppin, Karl Anthony Towns. Like you have, I think what's going to be set up to be a pretty evenly matched series moving forward. What are you looking at matchup wise for these two teams?
What teams again? Sorry.
Pacers and Knicks. Knicks are the favorite, and OKC is the favorite in the series, just for context. And they're both tied for 3rd in turnovers, forced turnovers. So defensively, they're pretty even. Offensively, they're pretty even. 3-point percentage, they're pretty even. They're pretty even down the board. Pacers have an advantage rebounding wise, but what do you think? So I'm basically saying it. I think this game comes down to matchups and forcing the mismakes with screens or whatever. What do you think in matchup wise?
That Jalen Brunson Hart and Halliburton matchup is going to be interesting because you got a big guard and then you got a small guard. Um, I just don't know how that's gonna. I just don't know how that's gonna be. Um, and then you get into like, you know what I'll say for the Knicks when Josh Hart checks in, you have to put an eye on him because he gets the he's the all around. He's the glue guy in my opinion on that team.
Yeah.
He's the glue guy. He makes the things that don't show up on the stat reports and everything. The diving plays, the 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 BS buckets and everything, coming off a rebound, he'll slip in and get a little layup or something like that. Um, you have to watch out for him. Uh,
And
man,
you still got
OG,
Ananobi.
OG, man. Whoever that's going to be a defensive battle. Whoever matches up on him. And I think he may. I can see him maybe matching up on Siakam or Neesmith whenever he gets into the
Yeah.
game. I can see that. But man, that
And you still got McBride coming off the bench. I think this series comes down to I think Tyrese and Jalen Brunson are gonna perform at a high level. I think whoever each either team's number two, whoever's no whoever whatever what Jesus, whoever's number two for each team shows up consistently, I think gets the win. Whether it's OG Ananobi showing up and being consistent, or whether it's who's the I'm not even really sure who's number two for the Pacers usage wise because they distribute the ball so well. But I believe it's Pascal Siakam. Between Pascal Siakam and OG Ananobi, whichever one of those two steps up the most for the whole series, I think is the one that gets the dub. So I believe the Knicks are almost, I don't know the exact record, but I believe when OG Ananobi scores 20 points, the Knicks are very, very, very hard to beat.
you know who I think that's going to be the person that has to show out on the Pacers?
Who?
Benedict Mathurin. I think he's going to have to show out. I really do. I think that's when like I think he's going to have to be called upon and everything for the Pacers. Now the Knicks,
Who?
damn, you know who we forgot? We forgot to take an account on the Knicks. Obviously, they got they got Carl Anthony Towns, but bro, Mitchell Robinson and Mikal Bridges.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
It's gonna be Knicks are gonna be a hard team for the Pacers to match up wise personnel. Yeah.
I mean, in two, we when I was down there in San Antonio watching the game with you, they have four people in double digits, two people in 20 points, bro. Like when you distribute the ball like that and everybody's scoring, it's hard to lock in on who to who to play and everything. And then
Yeah.
especially if Jalen Brunson dropping 30 points and he going, oh, okay, y'all gonna trap me? Okay, let me kick it out to Mikal. Drive in, pull up
Yeah.
jumper. He probably has one of the best pull up jumpers in the league, in my opinion. Even though it's ugly, it goes in. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah, Mitchell Robinson, bro. That's a different. That's I totally forgot about him because that boy's a dog on the
Oh yeah.
defensive end.
His hustle on defense, I love it.
Oh man, yeah, man. It's yeah, it's
You got Josh Hart on the perimeter, clamps, crashing boards, and you got Mitchell Robinson just absolute dominance on the in the paint.
Mikal coming in and then Carl Towns. Don't let Carl Towns get hot from the three, and then he puts the ball on the floor and puts that shoulder down.
Yeah. He's
Ooh,
tough to beat.
yeah, man. If I'm gonna have a prediction, I think that is gonna be a 6 to 7 game series, and I'm gonna go with the Knicks on that one, just by that matchup of what we just discovered. Um, I hope the Pacers can make it interesting, but it's just like, man, once you, yeah, man, just defensive wise, I mean, once they lock in and everything, it's a hard team to beat.
Yeah.
So, so yeah.
100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, we are getting close here to the end. We are excited to watch these conference finals, and we will be also excited once these series ends to get ready for the matchups for the NBA finals. But until then, We will catch you guys next time.